what was one of your favorite scenes or episodes during that series?
Wow. One of my favorite scenes ever, of course, of Lois and Clark for me was when Clark proposes to Lois and she asks, who's asking Clark or Superman.
Yeah.
This is like the most classic moment of it for me. There's something about that I always found amazing. So that might be my favorite moment in the entire thing. Even that, because even his proposal was bungled a little bit in the rain and so on and so forth. It was just that's without a doubt, to me, that's the whole essence of the show. There's a picture at my booth that we have that we put out there. It's a black and white picture with Lois behind Clark opening up the shirt, and it's all in black and white except the S is in color. And that, to me, is the epitome of the show. That tells you everything you need to know about the show, and that's why that moment is, without a doubt, my favorite in the show.
Yeah.
That was a mistake.
Right over here. I was a little too young to have been watching Lois and Clark.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
I'm sure my brothers watched you. It was just I was.
Okay, I was 27 years old when it started, but thank you for my age.
So that was only 3 years.
I'm that much older than him. Than 27. I'm that much older than 27. Shame on you.
You don't look it at all. But so I really discovered you when you were on Steven Crowder's podcast both times. And I really came to admire you, and then I, saw you in God Is Not Dead, and you became one of my heroes in Hollywood because you had openly conservative values, and as you said, you chose your family over your career and still had a career. I'm curious to know what kind of backlash or what kind of consequences have come from being openly conservative in Hollywood.
Well, politics are, they say at the dinner table, never talk politics or religion, and I can't help myself. I can't help it. So, it's funny. I grew up in Malibu, California, a liberal bastion. I grew up with Sean Penn, Chris Penn, Rob Lowe, Charlie Sheen. I grew up with all these kids, and in fact, my dad even directed them in a movie called Young Guns, which is I love that film. Thank you for my dad. And so it's funny, we have kind of diametrically opposed political viewpoints, and the reason I state that is that I went to college. Listen, those guys are all still great friends, and I'm friends with all of them. My views are based on, it's funny because I didn't grow up in a very religious household. I grew up with very liberal values and things of that nature, but I've traveled the world. I've literally been all over the world. I've seen what happens when people don't have freedom and liberty, and I've seen what happens when bullies make the rules. I've seen what happens when, the guys with the guns make the rules, and I've been on the other end of it, and it's not a very comfortable thing. I've been in more refugee situations than I even care to talk about. That's why I'm such a staunch, absolutely staunch supporter of our men and women in uniform. And like 90% of our security guys that are walking around here, men and women, are also Air Force, current and active Air Force airmen, and so thank them too, and any firefighters, first responders, police officers. My respect for those guys just goes through the roof, and I don't know if it comes from the fact that my grandfather was a commander in the Navy and my uncle was a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, or because I was a football player and discipline was a big part of what made you successful, and being part of a team and not being, too big to do everything that everyone else has to do. Realizing you're a cog in the wheel. I don't know. Actors stay very quiet politically because they don't want to alienate a fan base, and I understand that. I completely understand that. What's funny for me is, like, I'll go on and I'll speak on whether it's Steven Crowder's podcast or if it's Fox News or CNN or anything like that, and I'll give an opinion on politics. They're like, what do we care about this stupid actor's politics? That's fine, that's okay, but I did go to Princeton University. I do have a degree. I am an American citizen, and I have an opinion like everybody else, so I wouldn't devalue anyone's opinion. So I find it interesting when people do that. Do I like to hear actors push their agenda down my throat? No. So I try not to do that sort of a thing. But, at the same time, we should be a citizen government, and I don't like that we have what's, quote, a political class. now. We have people who are just politicians their entire life. I don't like that. So as a guy who's made his living, in front of the camera, behind the camera in the entertainment industry, putting messages out there, I wouldn't have a problem speaking my mind and maybe someday stepping into a political office. We'll see.
Did you just throw your hat in? Well, Kanye. This is a better situation.
If Kanye's running in 2020, I'll run against him, I promise.
Would you ever don the Superman suit again for any project or anything?
That's a good question. Well, something happened that was very strange at the end of Lois and Clark. We did 4 seasons. We were picked up for a 5th season, and in the summertime, while I was off making a movie, I got a phone call from Tony Jonas, who was then the head of Warner Brothers Television, and he called me to tell me that Terry Hatcher's pregnant, and we're not going to go forward with the 5th season because she can't film it and be pregnant and do all that at the same time. And it's you're working 18 hours a day. It's a really tough schedule. And I get it. So he said we're gonna stop the season. We're gonna stop the show right here and now. We never got to finish really kind of what we started. So I would be completely open to finding a way to sort of tie up loose ends. And so yeah, I'd put it on again. Absolutely.
Thank you for coming to Salt Lake. We really appreciate it. Do you like the Batman v Superman cup that you got?
The what? I'm sorry?
The cup, Batman v Superman cup that you got?
Yes. First of all, thank you. I really love being here in Salt Lake. It's great. And from Los Angeles, what an easy flight. It's the easiest trip ever. That's why I should have bought a place in Park City. I'm just not that smart. Yes. So I still will. I will. So last night at the Megaplex, I really wanted my Batman versus Superman cup. I really wanted those big plastic cups that has everything on it. But I wanted it because of Wonder Woman. That was the reason. Absolutely. I got it. I definitely got it. Jeff from Megaplex, if you're here, thank you for bringing
Jeff's
it.
a good guy.
He's a good guy. So if you ever want free tickets to anything Megaplex, go get Jeff. Tell him Dean sent you.
My office and said, Dean wants a cup. And I was like, oh, you can have mine. Yeah.
Yes. Did I get your cup?
Yeah, I'm going to get them from Casey later, but it's fine.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you for that, because I'm very happy.
Look, my actual question is, you've had the opportunity to play heroes and villains, and you are a family man. Do you find it difficult to play villains, or is it a fun opportunity to kind of change up what you're doing and just do something different?
It's a lot more difficult to play the hero than it is to play the villain. Always. Really? Villains can do anything, and they have a reason for what they're doing, and it's fun. I like the villains that have the most fun. Like Die Hard. Alan Rickman playing that character. Hans Gruber. I was like, he had so much fun playing that. That was great, and that makes for a great villain. But it's easier to play a villain, I think. More difficult and more nuances to play a hero. So I like playing both. I really like playing a villain that you think is a hero, and then he turns into a villain. Those guys are fun too. So yeah. Listen, as an actor, I try to play as many different things as I can. You look for something that looks like fun, and certainly I'm not going to close the door on playing villains, but actors, we like to play everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, my question.
get to. I'm really sorry, but you can visit him at his booth.
Yeah.
I'll come by your house.
There. You probably know where it is.
Spoiler, he kills everybody. So I'm actually wondering about your interaction with Chris Kyle.
Yes, sir.
It's weird because now I feel awkward. But I mean, he's my hero. Second to you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. Chris Kyle was my hero. And if you don't know who Chris Kyle is, Chris Kyle was the American Sniper. The film was made about Chris Kyle, and I was fortunate enough to, first of all, I'm a history major, so I do spend a lot of my time studying history, and my comprehensive exams in college I took on war and diplomacy, so I do have a real affinity for the stories of men and women under fire and people in those conditions. And I read Chris's book, American Sniper. I just happened to pick it up because it was something that interested me after I read Lone Survivor with Marcus Luttrell. And then I was fortunate enough to do a show called Stars Earned Stripes on NBC that Dick Wolf and Mark Burnett put together, which was amazing. And I remember I landed there. I wanted to host it because I thought I was too old to compete. I was trying to wuss out, I admit it openly. And he's like, no, I really want you to come in and do this show. And so I came in and we landed. And there's 9 operatives lined up there. And I'm like, oh, that guy's impressive. I was like, that's Chris Kyle. And I was stunned. And I got paired up with Chris and I got to spend 6 weeks with him, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, training and going through all different weapon systems and basically living with him for 6 weeks and training and being partners. And he just was one of the most humble, amazing guys that I've ever met. And the things that he had been through and the situations he had been in is, he had been shot twice, never took a Purple Heart because he would have to come off the battlefield, providing overwatch for his guys, getting down there, busting down doors, being a point man often, going into breaches and stuff. He's an amazing, amazing man. And he was just one of my heroes, one of my inspirations, and I'm still close with his family. I'm still close with all the operatives from Stars Earned Stripes. They're great, unbelievable people. And the day he was killed, which was helping another serviceman, was like the second day my son had ever seen me cry. It was a tough time. He was a true American hero. And then when some of those guys started tweeting things negatively about him after the film, then I had to get up there and get in the mud with him a little bit. I'm not afraid to do that at all. Well, thank you.
How did you get the part of Superman? Did you go audition or did they go ask you right off the bat?
Well, there was like 9 of us in a room, and they just asked us which one could fly, and I was the only one. Yeah, we went through a long audition process, and at the very end, this is kind of fun though, the very end there were finally 2 of us left, and it was myself and this kid, what was his name? Oh, Kevin Sorbo. Yeah, it was myself and Kevin at the very end, and you just can't have a blonde Superman. You can't have it.
I think he did pretty well for himself though.
Yeah, Hercules. Yeah. Come on, Hercules versus Superman. It's like that's even a shorter movie than Batman versus Superman. Kevin's a great guy.
I think this is going to be our last one. We'll
sorry.
see. We'll see how quick.
Sorry, I'll answer fast. False.
So on Supergirl this week, we found out that Jeremiah Danvers is alive. What do you expect to do with the character in the future?
I think, the honest truth is I think there's some really fun things planned for Dr. Jeremiah Danvers. He's over in that bad area. He could have gone rogue, he could be negative, he could be positive. I think he's going to probably pop up on Arrow and maybe Flash, and I think there's a whole lot of things that are going to go on with him. And I embrace that, and I want to be a part of it, so hopefully Greg Berlanti, Andrew Kreisberg, Ali, you guys listening? Call me up, let's make this happen. They have plans, I don't know exactly what it is, but I hope it's significant.
I guess we have 10 more minutes, so...
All right.
Right over here.
So I've just been curious, how does someone without ties to Hollywood get into acting? Just advice, steps they can take, and how did you get into acting yourself?
I got into acting because I had ties to Hollywood.
His dad was kind of a big deal.
I was born in Detroit, Michigan, and I promise you, if my mom didn't move to Hollywood when I was 3, I would be doing something else. If your dad works with wood, you're probably going to be, you'll have an idea of being a carpenter. I'm exposed to it my entire life, and it's difficult. But the truth of the matter is, if it's your passion, then you have to do it. You have to do it. The way things are now today, technologically, you can become a filmmaker and be nowhere near Hollywood with all the technology, the iPhones. I could shoot a movie on this. I have, but you can't see them. No, I'm kidding. It's a joke. Kids, close your ears. Only the parents laugh at that. And some teenagers, and shame on you. There's so much you can do now, technology-wise. So whether it's computer graphics and things, you can tell a story. You can become a storyteller. It's amazing. So not having ties to Hollywood is becoming less and less of an impediment. But at the end of the day, nepotism is alive and well in any business, and knowing people and being out there in Hollywood does help quite a bit. And if you're friends with somebody and they call you up and say, "Hey, come do my film," Kevin Sorbo goes, you show up and you do it, and that's what happens. And it's helpful. But the biggest thing is to have a passion for it and keep doing it, because you're going to hear no 1,000,000 times. You only have to hear yes once, and you're in a movie.
Thank you.